Hi, everybody. I think we probably can get going. And more people, I'm sure, will trickle in. So, welcome. Hope you guys are having a great morning. I'm Jane Gavronsky. I'm COO at FINOS, and I'm really excited to be here and to help to moderate this panel, but I think it's not going to need a lot of moderation from me. The reason I'm excited is because we really love new projects that start at FINOS, but we particularly love when new projects come with a really vibrant community and a lot of interest. And this is what we have here at Fluxnova. And I really want to thank our members and, Fidelity for kicking it off, and for other banks really supporting it very, very actively. So we are here. You saw the announcements yesterday and this morning about Fluxnova, and so we're here to tell you more. I'm actually not. They are. And answer all your questions. So I have some questions that I'll ask the panelists, but please feel free, raise your hand and add your questions to this during the session. We will cover three general topics. What is it? What is Fluxnova? What context is it going to be used in? And how to get started. So if you have a particular question about those, just wait for that part of the conversation. But otherwise, just please raise your hand, and I'm sure that my panelists will answer. So first, let me allow you guys to introduce yourselves and your role. We'll go on.
Okay. Good morning. So my name is Gabor Herr. I'm an architect at Deutsche Bank, responsible for workflow and process automation systems, where we provide these services to the entire group for all divisions. And I'm based in Frankfurt, Germany, and happy to be here.
Thanks, Gabor. Craig Kitching with Fidelity. I am Vice President of Digital Automation at Fidelity. Many of my development teams run the workflow platforms that leverage Fluxnova and services like it. Also, happy to be here.
My name is Pieter Schutte. I work for NatWest as a principal engineer. We run a BPM Center of Excellence, and our role within the bank is to help customers within the bank to adopt BPM technology.
Great, thank you. So why don't we start with, what is it? So it is a fork of Camunda 7 Community Edition, but it is a lot more than that. So you guys.
All right. You, Peter? Yeah, you, okay. I'll take it for sure. So what is Fluxnova? So you're right, that is how it began, but it has grown substantially, and it is really an open source engine that provides audit-ready workflow capability. It's a full-fledged BPM engine and a developer toolkit that can help you model workflows, design, implement, and then monitor them into production. So any BPMN 2 compliant workflows that you can design and develop, you can run on Fluxnova.
And how would you say it's different from other orchestration platforms?
Maybe I can take that one. So I think visibility probably is one of the differentiating factors, like in a regulated environment like banks and financial institutions. It's important to see what happened when and why, and having an audit trail for that. And I think with a BPMN-based system, the BPMN model visually shows the process, and you can also see that in action when it's deployed, so you can see what happened in the process, what steps have been taken. So I think that's very different from other tools that are out in the market, where are more focused on the code, but less to the process model itself. And maybe to add a second point to that, with this visibility, you open up the process model to your business colleagues, so who are not IT related, so probably they have all the same transparency as well, not just the developers.
Yeah, transparency is a big keyword usually in financial services. So yeah, being able to see what's going on. So is it truly open source, and how is it different from other open source initiatives?
It is based on the Camunda 7 Community Edition, which is an open source project originally. We've forked it, and we have a strong maintainer community who's looking to maintain it.
Care to elaborate? How many maintainers do you have? Who they are?
Well, we have NatWest, BMO, Deutsche Bank, Capital One, and Fidelity. Between them, everyone has a team basically within their organizations working on it. I know we have 10 people. I know Fidelity have at least, I think, 30-ish. So there's lots of resources being put into it, and there's lots of people that's very excited. Our colleague Edison yesterday told me he sees a lot of belief within the teams and the maintainers. We are all invested in this. We have hundreds of use cases within our organizations that are earmarked for Fluxnova, with millions of process instances that are going to be running on Fluxnova, so we're all very invested in this.
So speaking of use cases, next question. What kind of workflows can you implement with Fluxnova?
So any workflow that can be designed, developed, and implemented in BPMN 2.0 can be run on Fluxnova. And Fluxnova and BPMN engines in general have a huge presence in the financial service industry. There's a lot. I think my colleague Harish had a great presentation yesterday. There was probably 25 or so workflows that could potentially be categories of workflows. Hundreds between the 5 core maintainers. We have thousands of process models, ranging from customer onboarding, servicing, accounting, processing, all of the aspects of financial services. But also, BPMN in general goes well beyond the financial service industry. There's a lot of it in manufacturing, warehousing. Any industry can leverage orchestrated, automated processes. And that's really what BPM is about. And the technology's been around for decades now and is well understood and implemented across many industries.
Great. So we are moving on to the Fluxnova in context, right? So maybe not everybody has a full understanding of how it can improve the way we work. So why would you use it? I guess what are the use cases where it would make a huge difference for how people are doing things?
Sure. So any organization has a set of processes where you have a defined process, a deterministic process, where things need to happen in sequence every single time, exactly the same, with full audit as to who did what, when a certain step finished, and reportability of that. That is fundamentally a good use case for BPMN. Additionally, it's also good at STPing or orchestrating microservices and making sure that things happen in a standardized ways again and again. And then most crucially, a way of bringing a human back in the loop of that STP process. For example, there's a trend now obviously to orchestrate a lot of services with AI, and if you have an AI system that makes a decision and you are worried that the decision is not correct, BPMN is a great way of bringing that human back in the loop to verify that sort of thing. So anytime you need a human to sign off on something or enter data, that's a good use case for BPMN.
Maybe I can add also something to that. So I think also the way of working, at least what we observe in our organization, that we use the BPMN model as the core artifact, that everybody is working on that and refine that during the process of development. So we start, like normally you would start for designing a process by painting the picture how the process flow is. And this is something you can do from the very first point in time in the modeler in Fluxnova. So you design the process there with the stakeholders who are not necessarily IT people, but function analysts, business people, and then gradually refine the process model to include the code. Then the developers come in, and this is the artifact you have. So this is kind of a different working, like having a separate part of doing the functional analysis and implementing something, which is two different things there. It's all hand in hand in an iterative process, which is really a great benefit, I think, to an organization like a bank.
That's very interesting. We have a question here and I think you're touching on it a little bit, is how should I organize my development team to work with Fluxnova? And I think what you're mentioning is that it's kind of like by design first. So you visualize the process and you think about, and it really forces you to think what are your functional components and how they come together. It probably really opens your eyes to things that you've missed, or things, checks that you have to put in place, validations, etc. You want to expand on that?
Yeah, I can expand on a little bit, and then I'll pass it over to Gabor.
Okay.
I think that the technology itself kind of fundamentally brings business into the front end of the development cycle. They come into the room, they're stakeholders in the room with you, you work on the model together. So, BPM is kind of a what you see is what you get. And Fluxnova, through the modeler, gives you the ability to model, to design your process, deterministic business processes, like Peter was saying, in collaboration with the business in the room. So they get to see it, they get to give feedback on it, and it gets to execute in exactly the way it's designed with them. Did you want to add anything?
Yeah, one small thing maybe then on that. And then you can, having this model, you can even postpone the decision what an activity, how an activity is being handled. So you can start saying, okay, that activity is a manual activity, some human would carry this out. You can decide later, put in an AI component or do a full automation by invoking the service on an API. So this all open, so you can postpone it at the very end of the process. You get an understanding of the process and then fill in the actual implementation.
Another benefit is that the business and the IT teams are working off the same document, so everyone knows exactly where bottlenecks, etc. is. You can use the monitoring tools to identify bottlenecks in your process, and the IT team can say, look, this step of your process takes 2 hours, where the other bits takes 10 minutes. Then the business can go look at that particular step. They can redefine it, they can split it out into a sub-process to make it more modular, and identify exactly where the bottleneck in their business process is, not necessarily in the IT system.
So in effect, it's kind of a business analysis tool, like a WYSIWYG business analysis tool as well.
Yeah, so we had some process analysts come into the area within our bank, and they do their analysis based on log files in other areas, where they then go extract logs, run analytics on it, do a whole bunch of transformations, and eventually they get a view of what the actual process is. When they saw the Fluxnova tool output, they had all the information they already need to do their analysis on.
Reminder, welcome to raise your hand and ask a question if you guys want. So there was another question around scalability, and how do you manage scalability, workflow-based applications using Fluxnova? So you started talking about that, processes taking too long, et cetera.
So there's two types of scalability. There's scaling your business, and Fluxnova makes you, or allows you to add processes, et cetera, very quickly. So there's a rapid turnaround because it's a tool that can be STP'd. You can set up a Git pipeline to get your new processes deployed, et cetera. So you can scale as a business very, very quickly. The tool itself is also able to delegate resource-expensive tasks of work to other systems, to other microservices. So your scalability is based on your architecture, how you design a microservice orchestrator.
Also from a technical side, it's a quite flexible tool. So Fluxnova is very modular, and that opens up a lot of possibilities how you run that system. So on one end, you can think of putting all the modules on the same machine, basically, and use, let's say, vertical scalability in a very traditional way. On the other hand, you can segregate them in separate components and run them individually on a containerized environment and scale out. And the far end of that is if you can go back to that side, that you can run every process in its dedicated engine, because the engine is just a library. Yeah? So there's lots of capabilities we have there, and that's why we use it that way. So I think it's a very powerful tool for that.
And I would just add on one additional thing that I think in the scalability, the proof is kind of in the pudding. That it already has the backing of some large financial service firms that, as of day one of adoption, will be running millions of workflows, thousands of processes on this. So we believe it can scale. It's proven that it can scale. We've scaled it within Fidelity. So have our partners here.
I'm just kind of curious, do this audience, show of hands quickly, are you already, do you know if you're using a tool like that in your practice? Are you familiar with Fluxnova or with, Camunda 7 Community Edition or anything? So some people know and some people, it's the first time. Okay, all right. Thank you, so that's good. Was there a question? No? Okay, just to repeat the question because we have it on video. So the question is, what's going to be the difference between Camunda 7 Community Edition and Fluxnova out of the gate, and what's essentially the roadmap for the next 12 months?
Yeah, I can definitely kick it off. So I think, migration and adoption is going to be critical to us at the beginning of the project. So we want to provide an easy path for consumers of Fluxnova to leverage the platform. So we don't expect I think Harish presented a very nice roadmap, and you can definitely see it for yourself out on our booth just outside. You can see what the first year's roadmap looks like, but we want to create something that's very adoptable for the industry and for people who want to leverage it day one, and then really expand and grow the capabilities of the platform. So there's a lot of areas that we see that we can substantially improve in the coming quarters. Really, we do want to move pretty fast. We've already got quite a few contributions lined up that we're ready to go. Either of you want to expand on the roadmap or the?
Just our release 1, it contains the base product, and we've also added a feature where we have a migration tool. So if you do have an existing Camunda 7 community platform, you can run the tooling on your platform and it'll update your code base, and then you can just apply the update as a patch to your system. It's not a full migration where you need to copy data around, that sort of thing. And then for release 2, we're looking at replacing the existing monitoring tool with something that's a bit more modern, and I think we're also looking at features around migration, etc. Beyond that, the roadmap is a roadmap. It's aspirational, and we'll see how we fit in features on it.
And surely, once you hear back from community, that'll influence the roadmap as well.
And that is exactly what I was going to add. We'd love to get some community feedback, especially as it's adopted and what people would like to see. So that'll be a big driver.
So maybe one more thing. So it's been said 15 years old code base. So I think it's in the last time Camunda focused on the other version of the software. So new trends like AI is not there yet. So and this is something we have put on the roadmap to integrate with AI solutions.
And I was just going to say that we have our first public maintainers meeting on the 18th of November. So if anyone has any ideas of contributions that they want to add, please join us.
That's awesome. Thank you. So there was one more pretty detailed question, I think. Maybe you can expand on the functionality. There's a question around how would you check that your workflow has failed? You talked about scalability and monitoring, but what if something fails? What tools are there?
I can kick it off. So there's a robust monitoring interface that you can leverage to view the workflows, view exactly the state of a workflow, where it's at, if there's been an incident, and then manage that incident and actually, leverage the tool straight out of the box and those capabilities to modify and manage any incidents that have occurred. There's a great amount of visibility because you've modeled it and it's in a BPM engine. Fluxnova provides complete visibility end-to-end for your process, and you can see exactly where any issues have occurred through the day one release that we have. So there will be some monitoring capability on day one. Our first release after that will have additional enhanced monitoring capability that will be coming. But
yes, you can set up any sort of monitoring tool that can monitor a Java instance, and for example, we have tools that monitor Splunk logs. We're setting up Grafana to monitor as well. And if your support team does get an alert, they can log into the platform, like explained, and if they see an issue, they can log into the platform, and they can monitor it. And if they see an issue, they can log into the platform, and they can monitor it. And if your support team does get an alert, they can log into the platform, like explained, and if they see an issue, they can log into the platform, and they can monitor it. And if your support team does get an alert, they can log into the platform, like explained, and if they see an issue, they can log into the platform, like explained, and if your support team does get an alert, they can log into the platform, like explained, and if they see an issue, they can log into the platform, like explained, and if your support team does get an alert, they can log into the platform, like explained, and if they see an issue, they can log into the platform, like explained, and if your support team does get an alert, they can log into the platform, like explained, and if your support team does get an alert, they can log into the platform, like explained, and if your support team does get an alert, they can log into the platform, like identify exactly where the error was. For example, if there was a service down and it's a FTP platform, your support team can go in. The process execution would have stopped at the service that failed, and your support team can go in and restart that process to retry the service. For example, when AWS was out yesterday, 2 days ago, those processes that would have failed there would have just been stuck in that part of the process, and the support team would just try them again.
All right. So we're going to go ahead. So just to repeat the question, so since Community Edition Camunda 7 is the last supported version and that support's going to be removed, does that impact Fluxnova?
No, it doesn't impact Fluxnova. And that was, the genesis of putting the group of maintainers together. So Fluxnova is its own independent application. It'll be run independently. Our roadmap will be independent. So we won't be impacted by any of the vendors' changes.
Yeah, and if you've heard Gab talk about this before, this is the value of bringing open source projects to a foundation, because we help to continue curate and the community helps to curate the community, but that's what foundations do, is continue the support for open source projects. Yes?
Quick one on the governance process around maintainers. Have you established that yet, or is that something that we're looking at? And there's a huge amount of interest, I'm sure, in this project.
Sure.
So what about folks that are maybe not aligned to that?
So the question is about what's the governance model and which maintainers are there, has that been established, and potentially inviting people who are not from financial services.
Okay, I can. Go for it, Gabor.
You kick us off. So I think for the time being, we have this 5 maintainers taking care of that, but we are open for others to join. I think it's not restricted to financial institutions only, but also vendors. I think we have vendors who showed interest, and it's a kind of democratic process we follow. You want to add something?
And typically governance is also defined as part of the project, so it's well documented.
And I was just going to ask that we are discussing having wider communities contribute as well via the Linux Foundation.
Yeah, that's a great point, Peter. I think FINOS and the Linux Foundation were incredibly helpful when we began this project. So a lot of the initial governance and how we structured the project and how we structured the group of maintainers and how we contributed and what that looked like was initially led by FINOS and the Linux Foundation. A huge thanks to them. I think that's one of the primary motivators for using an organization like FINOS. Not only did it help bring our companies together to do this, but they provided a established roadmap for us to follow to set this up. So while this is, today limited to this group of 5 maintainers, that's not by design. It will grow as we grow the platform. So.
Maybe I can add one more thing. So, although this has been announced yesterday, the project is older. So we work on this project for almost a year now, and I think that has proven very well that we have this model with this maintainer. So not everyone was there from day one. So some joined later, and we extended. So we are really open to extend also this group of maintainers to get more power and agreement. And it's worked really well, I must say. So there was no conflicts or anything like that. So it was really great working together in that team. Yeah.
So just to move on a little bit to how would people get started? Maybe you can talk about what it takes, or maybe like a hello world kind of a situation.
So there's the modeler is available right now. You can go download it today. The public release of Fluxnova will be on November 11th. As Peter mentioned, there's a maintainers meeting that's open to the public on the 18th. You're welcome to come and contribute, share feedback, share ideas, just share desires of what you'd like to see in the platform, even if you can't develop and contribute it yourself. We have a pretty robust team working on this now, that we are very interested in what the community would like to see as a roadmap. We have a booth here that's 50 feet outside the door, so by all means stop by and ask us questions. We've got the QR codes available. We've got some swag at the booth you can pick up, but we'd love to talk to you. It's coming in what, two and a half, something like that, short weeks. It'll be available to the public. We have our domain set up. I believe it's fluxnova.finos.org. I think that's right. It's definitely on the QR code, but I believe that's correct. And I think our press release just went out yesterday at noon, so you could Google us now and you will find plenty of information.
And so as you kick it off, and maybe beyond today, what would you recommend as a path to get support? If somebody wants to get started, how would they engage with you guys?
Go for it.
At the moment, we have one public library, which is the modular library. If anyone needs support, they can raise an issue in the modular, and it'll be discussed at the maintainers meeting. That's it.
Yeah, so just for those who may be new to this, raising an issue on a project usually gets you an answer from the community pretty quickly. So, and then we use tags on issues, whether it's questions, meetings, et cetera. So I'm sure you guys will have or will establish various tags to handle it.
Absolutely, and there is a suite of documentation that will be coming out for the platform as well. There's training, learning material, things like that are being actively developed. So although we've been working on it for a year, what we've been doing a lot of is refactoring the code. And it's a young, vibrant community at the moment, so it's pretty easy to get a hold of us. You get out there and you drop an issue, you're going to get a response pretty quickly, and all of the other artifacts are being actively developed right now. So we will get more information, more documentation out to the community as soon as it's available.
Yeah, and again, this probably just barrage them with issues and questions, because the training or whatever is developed is best when you get concrete feedback or questions. So I would encourage people to do that.
Absolutely.
Anything else I've forgotten to ask that you guys want to mention right now, or from the audience?
I was just going to say that my particular team has never contributed to open source before. We spoke to the guys at FINOS. FINOS was very, very helpful. They helped us set up Git proxy, which is another FINOS tool for contributing code safely and making sure that there's no corporate issues with you leaking code. If you do have any questions about contributing, just speak to the FINOS guys. It's a lot easier than you think.
Yeah, and maybe one last thing I'll add is that I think part of what we were so excited about in joining this community and helping to bring together some of these maintainers, working with FINOS, was a truly neutrally governed open source platform. So we leverage workflow orchestration platforms very heavily inside of Fidelity. We have a lot of traffic on them, and it is something that we intend to invest on for the next few decades. And I think throughout the financial service industry, you'll see that. And there's a lot of offerings in this space, but having something that is truly open source, that's governed by a neutral body, with no vendor lock-in, no vendor licensing to worry about, and supported by some very large financial service organizations, is really exciting for us. And we're very excited to be a part of this community and really see what it can grow into.
Last thing as well. And since it's a fork of an existing software product, this is a really major software product. So this is something we use. All the maintainer organizations are using it for critical applications and at a large scale. So I think that the unique opportunity here is that you can contribute to a project that is already running fully. It's not like when you start from scratch and there's a lot of missing. So we can add really cool new features on top of that what are available, like all the AI things that come into and really a way to innovate based on this foundation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super exciting for us because this is exactly kind of our envisioned dream of financial institutions, other firms working together. and having a great product that people can already use, however, also constantly improving it and collaborating. And to your point, it's a very democratic process and well-working group. So we're really excited about it. I hope you guys all get to try it and give these guys feedback. And thank you very much. And please ask as many questions as you can.